Friends, some of you would have wondered why the Jews and Muslims undergo circumcision. I don't need to describe the physical aspect of circumcision. What I propose to do is to offer a perspective on why this is done. I have found often that looking at something which apparently is very different in context to what is immediately before us would help us to understand that situation much better than we would do if we were to keep looking at it alone. So I'm going to bring into your awareness a similar process from another religion and then try to think of the two together. Then I hope the meaning will become clear. Let me read out the description of a particular process which is very famous, that is the tonsuring of one's head. Tonsure is shaving of the hair, shaving the hair off one's head. Tonsuring is the appropriate technical word for it. Now, one of the most famous temples in India is the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam. Now, there, of all the temples in India, people prefer to go there for the head tonsuring ceremony. Some very special significance is attached to having one's head tonsured in the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam. We know that certain churches are famous for certain things. People believe that if you go to Velangani and pray to Mother Mary there, then your wishes are fulfilled. And there are all kinds of practices. Likewise, in Hinduism, there are certain temples of very special significance, like Shabarimala. The Ayyappa Pradishta there is supposed to be far more powerful than the Pradishta or the idol of Ayyappa in the 200 other temples, Ayyappa temples in Kerala. Why it is so, nobody knows. It is so, and people simply fall in line. Now, the interesting thing here is that the annual sale of human hair from this Tirupati temple, Tirumala Tirupati Balaji temple, amounts to some 700 million Indian rupees. 700 million Indian rupees. Now, that is a huge amount of money. So, in other words, it's a huge industry. Tonsuring human heads and then selling off the hair that results from it is a huge industry. It's a mega crore industry. Now, if you ask people know why this is done, you will get the answer that the meaning of this ceremony of tonsuring one's head in a particular temple, a temple of preference, like in the case of the Tirupati Devasthanam, symbolizes the offering of the self to the deity. So, it's a gesture of self-offering, self-sacrifice. Of course, it has got another less spiritual facet, namely, people go and do this to express their gratitude to God when their wishes are fulfilled. So, people make a pledge to God saying that if this particular wish of mine is fulfilled, then I'll go to Tirupati and offer my hair. Now, that is a superstitious part of it. The other is a more sacrificial aspect, namely, by tonsuring one's head, one offers oneself symbolically in self-denial to the deity concerned. Now, if you have understood this, you can certainly understand the meaning and the spiritual intent behind circumcision. The human beings need some symbolic ways by which to express certain fundamental aspects of their life. As in the case of Jesus of Nazareth, when he decided to make a public statement that his ministry was to begin, he underwent baptism at the hands of John the Baptist. Now, Jesus himself had undergone circumcision, but that wasn't enough. So, in Jesus, you find the transition from the old ritual of circumcision to the new ritual of baptism. So, Christian churches, unlike the Jewish synagogues and temples, etc., do not practice circumcision, but they do something very similar. They do what is meant to be a substitute, and therefore, baptism is a symbolic variant of the same practice of circumcision. Baptism is Christian circumcision. Christians don't know this. Priests who practice baptism do not know this. And surely this is brought about by Jesus, and therefore I can understand that Christian priests practice it. But the fact of the matter is, if you think of it in religious terms, baptism is nothing but the Jewish Muslim practice of circumcision adapted to Christianity, now expressing itself through a different ritualistic process. So they're all the same, and circumcision in the Old Testament, circumcision in the Muslim community, baptism in the Christian community, and tonsuring of the head in the Hindu community, it's all the same. Now, when I say this, I'm sure that many Christians will gnash their teeth. But the fact of the matter is, this is the truth, whether you like it or not. If you understand religious symbolism, and as a teacher of literature, as a student of literature, I had to study symbolism, the extensive symbolism of the world, symbolism from many, many cultures. So that gives me a particular background from which I can look at many of these things and see the kind of connectivities that otherwise remain hidden to the eyes of many. So let me say this again. The Jewish Muslim practice of circumcision, and the most interesting thing is that Muslims and Jews have the same practice, namely circumcision, but they are mortal enemies to each other, and that's what religion does to you. They are the same. Ritualistically they are the same, and even genetically they are the same, because Jews and Muslims, they are the successors of Isaac and Ishmael, both children of Abraham. They're cousins. So look at what religion does to us. So the Jewish Muslim practice of circumcision, the Christian practice of baptism, the Hindu practice of tonsuring one's head. Now, don't think that I am indulging in obscenity, but the fact of the matter is, the tonsured head is supposed to resemble the linga, the male phallus, right? So this is all the same. It's a kind of displaced circumcision, if you like. It's capital circumcision, if you like. I hope people are not provoked by what I say. I'm an old man. Please don't come to attack me. I'm full of fear when I say these things. But then I have to say this because this is the truth of the matter. So I would commend such studies to all of you. If you would investigate these things, you will come across very, very fascinating, almost absorbing points of insight. And I hope you reach that level of discovery and delight. Thank you.